Welcome back to the OHL Tonight on your TV. The OHL draft is fast approaching, and it's a draft that's hard to follow along with. So we brought in Ryan Stacey, area scout for the scout.ca. And Ryan, this year's draft class, is it something that looks better than years past, or is it just average? Where's it ranked, despite Shane Wright obviously being at the top?
I think overall it's a pretty good draft class. The 2002 draft class especially was particularly strong. So I don't know if we have the overall talent or even the high-end talent throughout the first couple of rounds that equal last year's draft class. But I think overall, looking at it, there's a lot of intriguing prospects right up until the later rounds that could surprise some people in the long run.
Now I'll let you kind of give people your quick bio here and what you get up to with the scout.ca. You mentioned to me before we started this interview that you're at more than 300 games this year, but the effort that goes into putting together a list of projected prospects for the OHL, how much work is it, and what do you do in your spare time as well?
So yeah, it's a lot of hours in the rinks. I mean, starting with Andrew Sykes, our director of scouting, and right down through our staff, we spend a lot of nights in the rinks, just trying to catch every game possible, really, to just make sure we cover every player and give them their due diligence in the scouting process. A lot of messages going back and forth between scouts. I mean, I'm based out of Niagara, so SCTA is my area of coverage mainly, but I try to get out to different tournaments, and as do the other guys. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of nitpicking at different players, what you see, what other guys see, and then at the end of it, just putting it all together and trying to put a list that really represents the players that we've seen.
And when it goes along with drafts, whether it be NFL draft, NBA draft, NHL draft, people love seeing those pre-scouted lists, projections of where people are going to be. So in this series between the Peterborough Petes and Oshawa Generals, you have an interested fan base. Starting off with the Peterborough Petes, they'll be picking 5th and 11th in the upcoming draft with the supplementary pick 5th overall after not nailing their 3rd overall pick last year in Will Cooley. He went over to Windsor. So what can Petes fans expect to be available at number 5 or at number 11?
I think the Petes are going to be really happy with whatever players they decide to go with at those picks. That area of the draft has a particularly strong couple of forwards. At 5th overall, one player I think in particular that could be of interest is MacTavish of the Pembroke Lumber Kings from the Ottawa area. He's a really strong centerman, has that element of swagger that you like in a player, just radiates confidence, wants to be the guy who makes the big plays, and he can facilitate for his line mates. He also has a very strong shooting ability. And like I said, he's not afraid to shy away from any area of the game. So I think that's a guy that could really intrigue them at 5th overall. Looking at 10th overall, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of variation in who people have around that pick, and it could really come down to what teams decide they want and need at that point in time. One player I believe that they could be particularly interested in is Francesco Curry of the Don Mills Flyers. For those who followed the OHL draft and the GTHL this season, Curry is a very strong two-way player. He can play the center or the wing. He's capable of both. He can drive a line with offensive creativity, a really great passing ability, capable shooter, but he can also be that retriever on a skilled line and really just be the guy who gets the little things done and aids the areas of the game that most people don't really pay attention to as much, but it helps the team win overall. So I think those are two really strong players they could get in the first round, and Pete's fans would be very happy with those selections.
Now, I know people call comparisons lazy for the most part when it comes to scouting, but oftentimes it's the best way to get it across to the average fan. If you can compare maybe MacTavish to somebody in the OHL at this time, is there somebody whose game you think it resembles?
It's tough to make comparisons like that. These players, especially at the high end of the first round, are really unique. MacTavish is one player in particular. I don't know if I could really make a comparison at this point in time. He just has a really unique style. And like I said, he's so confident in his ability and just, again, the swagger that he plays with and just wants to be the best player on the ice at all times. I think it might be a compliment to say there isn't a comparison and that he's his own type of player. And like I said, I think he's really going to be a strong player at the OHL level. And if the Petes do go with him at 5th overall, they're going to reap the rewards in the coming years.
Now I'll push ahead to where the waters get a little bit muddier, around the 16th pick for the Oshawa Generals. I know that it gets harder and harder to project what's going to happen beyond the top 10, but who do you see maybe being the best player available at that point?
So for the Oshawa Generals, it's interesting because they've done a really good job in last year's draft, putting together a really strong nucleus. Tyler Tullio, Dylan Robinson, Dawson McKinney in the 4th round, I believe, was another strong pickup. And then, of course, acquiring Leighton Moore from Niagara this winter. So that's a really strong nucleus. So they can, like I said, they can really go with whatever player is available, the best player. I think one player that they have to consider is Daniel Misho of the Quinte Red Devils. He's a big, strong centerman, skates really well for his size, and has the ability to take pucks in transition and lean on defenders and command the center of the ice. But he's also a very good facilitator, in addition to his individual play. Really good passer. And then in his own end, he also has that key awareness that you like, a great stick. And, of course, with his size, he also implements a physical aspect. So just a strong two-way player who would be really nice to add to that system there in Oshawa.
Now, one more thing, or a couple more things for you here. People talk about Shane Wright all the time. Even the guys at the big stations are talking about how he's the real deal. And you've seen more than 300 minor midget games. You obviously saw the OHL Cup, the Silver Stick, and all those types of things, the big scouting moments. Is he living up to the hype? Is he what everybody's saying he is?
Yeah, I have to agree. Shane Wright is a tremendous player in his own right. Just the little things that he does, his body positioning, the crispness in his passing, his ability to turn it up in the big moments. The OHL Cup was just one example. I remember in Whitby in November at the Silver Stick, there was a game in particular against the Brantford 99ers where under pressure he just elevated to another level that not many players are able to reach. And it's just a tremendous amount of attention to every detail in his game. And I think the OHL is very happy to have him as an underager. And he's going to be a player that a lot of people are going to be talking for many years following this date.
Especially in the East Division for both the Oshawa Generals and Peterborough Petes. Call it a nightmare, call it exciting for the fans. I don't know. We'll see Shane Wright around the PMC, around the Tribute Community Center in the upcoming years. And one last note, you've hit most of those scouting benchmarks, just the OHL Combine. How much stock do you guys take in that event?
I think it's really good for the OHL teams to get to look at the players on the off ice and things like that. At that point, a lot of teams have their lists pretty concrete, but it's just a chance to get that little bit of additional information that you don't get to see, don't get to obtain in the middle of the season. So, I mean, there is an element that you take from the combine, but at that point, I think it's the lists are pretty well set, and teams are just really looking to see what a player can bring in terms of what the combine shows them.
Now, Ryan, all the knowledge that you guys have accrued over the course of this season, what's the best way for people to get it, whether it be through Twitter or the website?
Our Twitter account is very active. Andrew Sykes runs the Scout.ca Twitter, and I think that's a really good place to get some information. Obviously, our website, we're constantly putting more information, more player profiles, additional rankings. And on YouTube, we also do player interviews, which is something fans might like to look at before and after the OHL draft to, get a little more information on some of the players, especially the high-end players that they selected. But you can follow along with me and the rest of our team around the OHL draft, and we'll be consistently providing information throughout the day.
So there's Ryan Stacey from the Scout.ca. Ryan, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back on the OHL Tonight.